Warning: the following broadcast features thoughts, ideas, and opinions you might find offensive. If you're easily angered, insulted, hurt, provoked, outraged, or annoyed, the following may offend you. The views expressed in this show are solely those of the individuals providing them and do not reflect the opinions of YouTube or Google. So please, don't flag this video. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yo.
What happened there?
I forgot what to press for a second, and the thing went up like you're live, and I was like, oh fuck, what do I press?
Something happened. But it's okay. We're here now, guys. We're here now.
Hey.
Hello.
Super professional as always. Welcome to Does This
What is
Offend You?
It's 77, episode 77. We know what we're doing by now, surely.
Good thing we never promise anybody that ever.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny because we always say this and it sounds like I'm having a dig at you, but it's because we both do this just constantly. I'm like, what do we press next? Like we haven't been using the exact same platform this entire time.
Yeah. You think it's our first day on the internet every time we do one of these.
Yeah. It feels like it. It feels like it.
It does. I'll call out really quick. 20 minutes before the stream started, Danny just popped in to say hey and gave a little super chat. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny D.
Yeah, I know you're not here right now because you said you're just popping in, but
have to work. Oh, they're at work.
Yeah. So when you watch this back, hopefully, since you've watched both movies, thank you so much. That's super nice.
Thank you. Thanks, Danny. That's so nice. Sorry that you had to go to work.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. Big sorry. You gotta go to work. It sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, thank you, Dawn.
Oh, Dawn.
First time watching us live. Yeah.
It's hello. Sorry to disappoint.
I was gonna go the opposite. Like, hopefully, it's everything you ever dreamed of.
Well, I do. I really do. But
it won't be. It won't be though.
I apologize first. Get your standards down low. Get your expectations.
Jeez. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome. A lot of familiar names, but in case anybody is doing a lurk or has, it's first time here. This is Does This Offend You? We talk about 2 horror movies. We try and find a theme. We usually start off with one and find another one along the way, usually. And we talk about like the like taboo, controversial, offensive things in those movies. It's just a clever name. We're not normally offended. Super rare, and we're gonna spoil everything.
Yeah.
So
this is a spoiler chat, guys.
Yeah, this is particularly like it's rare that we do like a new horror movie. Like we usually give a little bit of time, but we are talking about one movie in particular, The Woman in the Yard, that came out this year. So for anyone that hasn't seen it yet, we will be spoiling that big time. So, and the Babadook's been out forever. Yeah. But just in case you still haven't seen it, we're spoiling that one big time also.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Warnings, any content warnings maybe on this one?
Yeah, definitely content warnings for like every episode, depending. But I guess in this episode in particular, we're talking a lot about like depression, mental illness, suicidal ideations. So those are like the big ones. So if that is not cool topics for you, which is totally fine, maybe don't watch this episode, but we're gonna get into the
nitty-gritty. Yeah, especially with Woman in the Yard, because that was a lot of backlash from that. So I thought that was important to mention. For sure. We really should have like just a big content warning at the beginning of every episode. Because that's kind of what we're doing anyway. Is talking about true.
Controversial topics or potentially triggering topics. So yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, welcome, Des. Your first time.
What is it? Diaz 3. Okay.
Well, welcome. So happy to have Des here for the first time.
Des. Okay, sure. Welcome.
Thank you, Des.
I kid. I love you, Des.
Thank you so much. We were just hanging out before this reading. Of course. All right. Well, where do we want to start?
Yeah,
poll,
I guess
or do we have a
poll or emojis in the chat? Whatever
It's
works.
been a minute since we've done emojis. What emojis
is there like
do we do?
A chair? Is there a chair for like woman in the yard? She's sitting on a chair.
Yeah, chair. Right?
Is there a chair?
Surely. Chair. Got it.
And top hat for Babadook. I don't know.
I think that might be a little niche.
I think there's a top hat. Surely.
Oh, well, okay, there is. Wait. You know what? I'll shut up.
Well, I think we could have done a book. A book would have been good as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, guys. Chairs or hats?
Cheers.
Woman in the yard is a chair, just to be clear. And Babadook is a hat.
Babadook is the hat. Yeah. We could have done a lot for Babadook. Yeah, book would have been good. We could have done a rainbow.
Yeah.
Get into that. Rainbow.
Oh, I think it's kind of overwhelmingly. Oh, Caleb, you threw us out. So we're not covering that film.
No idea it started to refresh silence.
All right, Corey, we were talking about you this entire time.
That's so funny. I was just imagining you just sitting there like
yeah, probably seeing all the emojis come up as well. Going, what?
Oh, Corey.
Oh my god, Caleb, you're totally fine. I was joking.
It was just funny. It was just funny, Caleb.
Welcome.
It was just really good timing. Great commitment.
I kept seeing top hats. Like, okay. That's actually so funny to me.
That's too good.
Oh
That's too good.
Iconic.
Oh, you watched the Babadook for the first time? Yay!
Oh, wow. Yay. I'm glad that hopefully this inspired it then, I guess.
Yeah. Congratulations on that. Hopefully you didn't have it spoiled for you beforehand, because I know with like older, like the longer a movie's been out, the easier, I feel like.
Yeah, I wonder how you could spoil it though.
Yeah, okay. Well,
There's a lot that happens in it.
Sure, yeah.
Does the Babadook is real? I don't know. The ending, I guess. But okay, I think it's all hats, right?
I think it is all top hats, pretty much. All right.
Pretty much.
Cool. All right. The Babadook. Oof. Sorry for that. All of a sudden, bright white. Everything needs dark mode. We were discussing this before the stream started. Actually, I was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is 10 a.m. here. So yeah. It's bright light here.
Alrighty. All right, just as a refresher, if y'all didn't rewatch it for this, the Babadook came out in 2014, directed by Jennifer Kent. The movie, we're following single mother Amelia, who lost her husband in a car accident while on the way to the hospital to give birth to her son Samuel. In the movie, he's now 6 years old. Samuel is obsessed with the idea of a monster that is harassing himself and his mother, the Babadook, a monster described in a storybook that appeared in their house. Strange things start happening around the house. Samuel becomes more preoccupied with stopping the monster, and this behavior creates problems for Amelia. The Babadook eventually possesses Amelia, making her kill the family dog, then try to kill Samuel. Samuel is able to help Amelia defeat the Babadook and keep them at bay in their basement. I feel like that's what you could spoil, I guess.
No, the Babadook doesn't leave. We learn to live with the grief. Okay. Yeah.
And also the Babadook is the friends we made along the way. That is correct. how was that 2014? That's why I'm saying this. Like sometimes it feels like this movie just came out.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a long time ago. Now,
yeah,
it feels
it
like
was a long time ago now.
Like,
but I feel like it's been around for a hot minute. Where do you want to start? Because we're kind of all over the place. Our notes go in between each other. Should we start with Sam, or do you want to start with the motherhood stuff? Not the motherhood stuff.
Yeah. Let's start with the motherhood stuff, because that's kind of like that's like the theme of this episode a little bit.
So the movie was, I guess, a lot of people liked the rawness of Amelia, because she was it shows like the motherhood mess and all, in terms of her mental health declining. Obviously she's preoccupied with her grief, but it shows her snapping at her kid. I mean, it gets pretty intense. Like at one point she's strangling the kid, but the snapping at the kid, telling it to go eat shit if it's hungry. Well, I'm sorry, I keep saying it. If he's hungry. That's
what got me. I was like, damn. I
was like, she said, if you're hungry, go eat. Why don't you go eat shit? A lot of these kinds of things that really, I mean, not saying that all mothers would do this, obviously, but definitely showing when people can break, especially, you know, isolated women, single mothers, who are doing it all by themselves, and the stress of keeping it all together, really. And I think we see this a lot in pregnancy horror, more so, where we see the true, vulnerable, raw feelings that a lot of women can relate to, in terms of pre and post natal depression, and, you know, baby blues and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's really interesting to see it with an actual child who is, how old is he meant to be? 7 or 11 or something?
6 going on 7, I think.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Something like that. Yeah, it's around his birthday.
That's right. So I think there's a lot of that's usually skipped over with when the child comes into the world. It's not really shown like that. So I think that is something I found really interesting about this film, and the fact that they go fully, you know, intense with it, which must have been a lot for the actress. The director, Jennifer Kent, told Den of Geek, I was really wanting to explore parenting from a very real perspective. Now, it's not saying we all want to go and kill our kids, but a lot of women struggle, and it's a very taboo subject. To say that motherhood is anything but a perfect experience for women, which is a lot of people do this online now. They talk about the struggles, because I feel like a lot of women are told that it is all the bright, you know, love and dove, and you know, it's love like you'll never experience in your life. And then it's a lot of the harder parts of motherhood, of just being a parent, really, are kept behind. But I feel like more and more, like, newer generations are talking about that and opening up about the experience. But it's also a thing that your body, like, once you give birth, your body like completely forgets the trauma it goes through, which is, it kind of tricks yourself. That's the whole point. It's trying to get you to reproduce, which is wild. They said that so Jennifer said that she also looked she tried to research for anything about this, and found it really hard to find anything on the subject, which I thought was interesting. But again, I feel like we do have this in horror, but it's all pregnancy horror. It's not. I don't know if anyone can have any examples, but I can't really think of any, you know, except for Damien, the Omen. But that's different, because he's adopted, and there's like a whole different, you know, side of that where, but I guess, and he is actually a demon. So it's not really the same. He's a spawn of Satan. Yeah, so it's not really the same thing of just having a mother struggle, unless, you know, that was a metaphor. But it really wasn't. I don't.
Yeah, every single one I can think of, there's like an asterisk. Like I thought of like orphan, but then also
But that's not really her growing up in it. That's the thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like... And A Perfect Son. I think that's the one with Macaulay Culkin. But I think that, again, that's like actual evil child. So it's interesting. Although, you know, they could definitely interpret it in a movie as the child being evil when it's just like the situation, you know what I mean? But I think that's quite interesting, because we don't really see that a lot. But I think that the way that the film handles the subject, as I just said, is pretty shocking in terms of, you know, some of the vocal, so, you know, her telling him to go eat shit, and some of the aggression that's shown, especially towards, you know, the climax of the film. I saw there was a couple of people. I saw this quote saying that, I don't know how true it is because I don't like how it was quoted. It was basically saying that like female critics had a problem with the film. And then I was trying to figure out, what do you mean female critics had a problem with the film? I'm sure everyone had different issues with the film, but also how it portrayed motherhood. But in a director's statement about the film, Jennifer Kent said that Amelia finds that she cannot love her son because she hasn't been able to face the grief of what happened, obviously, to her husband. And this suppressed grief builds such energy that it splits off from her, stalks, then possesses her, and eventually wills her to murder her 6-year-old child. There you go, 6. This questioning of mother's love is where the core of the horror lies. So yeah, I think that the whole point of it is to discuss how the love that you're meant to have for your child and what happens if, dare I say, it's not what you think it should be. But obviously there's external matters in terms of she's going through grief in this situation. So still, I guess this technically isn't a horror movie about, you know, that love you're meant to have for your child and it not coming, or you know, different things not showing you how motherhood actually was, because there is another factor in the situation, which is the husband. So I don't know if this is a pure, I don't know what you want to call it, but I don't think it is like a pure, you know, that situation about that solely, because it is about her not being able to deal with her grief, bottling it up, and then it coming out and driving a wedge between her and her son. So I think it's a great topic and discussion, and also shows a lot about how mothers aren't just a mother, and you know, obviously she has her own stuff she has to deal with, and dealing with all of that while being a single parent is a lot. It's a lot.
Well, I think like her, you know, the fact that she, like, her son's birthday is shared with the day that her husband died. Like that could be a stand-in for like, it could be a stand-in for like anything or any reason. Like maybe that, like you said, like the love for your child doesn't manifest in the way that you're told it's going to, like from other mothers, and, you know, people trying to put like a shiny bow on it. So it could kind of be a stand-in for just, you know, you know, the feelings being different.
Yeah. I think it's interesting hearing people say that they were shocked, or like, you know, people talking about how people more so, like there's another layer to it, that people were shocked or thought it was disturbing the way that she acts towards her child. I was like, this is another thing that we're talking about. Like, this is a horror movie. So like the showing the examples are going to be extreme, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think that's something that happens with like all horror like this though too, especially if it involves like, it's like mother horror like that, because they're supposed to be like the nurturing figure, the like, so maybe it feels more intense for people when it's like, oh, she's supposed to be taking care of this kid, but she clearly doesn't like him very much, and it's it feels like it. I think it's supposed to like evoke, you know, maybe she, you know, they mean it to like make you feel something, but
yeah, definitely.
It's really like complex emotions that this movie deals with too. Like it's super, super nuanced and complex.
I totally agree with that.
Thank you, DC.
Thanks, DC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
DC's like super, super upbeat conversation.
Exactly. I like Dez's comment as well. Bottling up grief is very healthy.
Highly recommend. Yeah, that is the recommended way to do it.
Yeah. That's what my therapist said. They said just bottle that all up, and that will be $130. Thank you so much. Actually, that would be so cheap in Australia. $130 is so expensive for therapy. Yeah. Like $230. Yeah.
Very timely.
Anyway,
Welcome to
I think you have a bit more about the. That's cute. You're very, very clever.
Yeah.
I think you had some more about the mother that you probably want to tie into this part while we're down in this depression.
I guess, yeah. This can lead us to Sam a little bit.
Yeah.
Because doing a bit of a reach here.
I read this and I was genuinely shocked. I was like,
okay. For context, this is what happens, like, because we both put our notes in. So like when one of us gets them in first, the other one has to do more of a reach.
Yeah. That is true.
To go look for, it's a challenge. I like it. But I was, I'm trying to like pull out stuff that like could be like, it's maybe like a little weird, feels taboo, feels interesting. I didn't like instantly go to Freud when I was thinking of Sam, just to like lead you into what I'm going to start talking about. But I did find some interpretations of some of the stuff that goes on in this movie, like through a Freudian lens, specifically like an Oedipal complex, which, if anyone doesn't know, that's Freud's not scientifically credited theory, just to put that out there, in which a young boy aged 3 to 6, which I guess counts for Samuel, experiences sexual desire for their mother and aversion to their father. And the like Freud's whole point of this was like the child would eventually like move out of this phase and then identify with their father. In the end, that's the acceptable outcome of this complex, and failure to move on from this would lead to neurosis. Again, there was no scientific backing for this. It's just a reading. But it's interesting because Samuel does do some things that are like meant to make you uncomfortable to his mother. Like he's very like invasive and like clings to her like physically. Like there's a lot of scenes where he's sleeping in her bed and he's like his arms on her, or he's like kind of like clawing at her, his legs on her, where she feels like, or she's feeling suffocated by him. When she reads the Babadook book to him and he gets scared, the what I found most interesting, he kind of wraps himself around her stomach, like which felt very like, I don't know if that was intentional, but it's very interesting, like almost like he's like trying to like crawl back into her womb or something. Like I'm so scared, like I gotta get away.
Yeah.
It's like the way he wraps himself around her was very interesting. Obviously there's a scene where Samuel runs into her room scared and interrupts Amelia while she's masturbating. all these different things. And like an Oedipal complex also is like, it's supposed to speak to that idea of like the son's desire to replace the father, which Sam kind of takes on like a protector role a little bit for his mom. Like he wants to protect her from the Babadook. There's other moments that some of these articles pointed out as Freudian, like Amelia's like dental issues, it's like oral fixation, I guess, and the crack in the wall with the cockroaches coming out is like looks very yonic, I guess. To some people, I thought that was interesting. I'm like, okay, don't fully know what that means, if I'm going to be honest. I'm not an expert in Freud, but
yeah, I mean, that's a read. It definitely is.
Yeah, it was just interesting though, like, Sam's behavior is like stuff like, and I don't know how somebody with children would view this, because like, we can only view this as two people without children. Like obviously, like seeing that, I'm like, ew, like the way he's like clinging to her. I'm like, no, like I need my space. But
but I think that's meant to, like, that's the whole point, is that she is so overwhelmed and she can't get a moment's peace. And especially, you know, when she's masturbating, she can't get literally a moment's peace.
Literally
like
can't.
Can't get which she ends up, we haven't even spoken about this, she ends up drugging the kid because she's just like, she needs to go quiet now. And then the kid's like, Mom, I'm so tired. And she's like, no, you need to stay awake. Don't you want to spend time with me? Watch Skippy on TV. And then otherwise your drugs don't work. She's like drugs the kid, and then she wants to. It's so crazy. It's wild. But I mean, that was a very surprising read, and it doesn't offend you. So I see that. I saw a lot of, I'm going to skip over this part about the Babadook being gay, but we'll get into that. Don't worry, guys, it's coming. Because I think this is better just to blend into the stuff about Sam. But I saw this conversation about Sam change so much. And you know what? I posted a video just the other day, and people were commenting unpopular opinions, and a lot of people were commenting about the Babadook, and people were saying how much they hate Sam. And everyone says this. He's one of those annoying kids in movies. I'm very like, I'm very, I guess, sensitive about this, because one of my favorite horror movies of all time, Pet Sematary, the original Pet Sematary movie. Everyone hates Ellie in it, and I love her. That's one of my favorite movies. And so I feel like, I don't know why, I just do them akin to each other because they have that naggy voice. Obviously, Sam is meant to be in his mum's face the entire film. But I feel like the conversation has changed so much about the Babadook. Obviously, when it first came out, everyone was kind of shocked about this, you know, this Australian film, and then a lot of stuff happened with the Babadook and his identity. And now I felt like it changed, where people started, a lot of people have been a lot more open about being neurospicy and talking about ADHD and autism spectrum. And I feel like a lot of people have started talking about Sam and possible, you know, we don't want to diagnose fictional characters, but at this point, a lot of people have been. And a lot of people have said that about Sam. A lot of people have read Sam as to be autistic or somewhere on the spectrum. And I found even a whole article about this. It just says the Babadook and autism. Sorry, it's not an article, it's a thread. I'm just going to put it in the comments just to show you guys the source. But I saw there's some really sad comments on there as well. Someone said, I'm surprised to hear Sam is supposed to be autistic coded. I just thought he was really, really obviously blatantly autistic. Another person said, he is one of the only characters in fiction I found relatable, and it really hurts me to say that people constantly hate him online and wish he got killed. I've seen that too. I've seen a lot of people wish that the kid died. You know, that's people all say that all the time when a kid goes through in the movie.
I mean, sure. I don't think I've ever seen that about him in the movie. That's crazy.
Like, I've got comments about it. So many people hate that kid. But the whole point is, like, that's what someone, you know, obviously we don't know what's going on with him, but kids are like that. What the heck? Have you guys been around kids? They're like that constantly, especially he has so much confidence as well. His personality, he's very social, he wants attention and he's seeking that. But he also has the whole point of the film. I didn't expect to get on a soapbox about this, but my whole point of the film is like he sees things how they actually are, and they say this throughout the film. His mum is trying to hold down the depression and grief and everything that's going on, and he wants to talk about it, and he wants to be open with it. And that's what kids are, very resilient, and you don't have to hide them from everything, especially things that they should be processing. My cat won't leave me alone. Do you see her? She's boring me. And she loves Babadook, apparently. Are you all with me for this? And I feel like with Sam, he is not given the chance to process things that have happened to him. And we see this at the grocery store when someone says, oh, something about your dad. And he's like, my dad's dead. And he's like so blatantly obvious about things and willing to talk about them so openly. And same with the neighbor. And when she explains why she shakes because she has Parkinson's, it's not meant to be funny, but it is crazy when he says she shakes like this because she's got, but the lady's like, it's fine. Like I explained it to him and he understands things. And that's at the very end of the film. Amelia says, he's actually a lot like his dad because he sees things how they actually are. And that's meant to be a good quality. And I think that's something that people miss from it because they think that, oh my God, kid, tone it down. But he's just very out with his emotions. That's why he's screaming. He's letting it out. That's why he's crying after he gets hurt. Right. And I don't think that that's always a bad thing. This is the whole thing. Children are to be seen and not heard. You know what I mean? But he's a human being, guys. I'm on the kid's side for once. I just think it's really interesting with how the conversation for a lot of films have changed when we've been more open about talking about just people who live differently, people on the spectrum, whatever that may be. And you can go back in time and see this throughout a lot of films, that it's just changed a lot of the way that we frame things. And a lot of characters that we found annoying or people said that. It's based on real people and it kind of gives them a real quality as well. It's not, everyone doesn't have to be the straightforward, like textbook, personality or kid. But I thought the kid did fantastic, by the way, as well. But another thing with everything we've just spoken about with Sam, the reason he played it a certain way is because he was told to play it a certain way. And I think that this is really interesting because the actor who played Sam was given another story entirely about the film and making the film. In an interview with The Guardian, Jennifer Kent said that they took him to the zoo and told him the story of the Babadook from Sam's perspective. I said he's really the hero of the film and he needs to save his mum. So this kid is playing it as the hero, which is exactly what you were saying. Like he thinks he's the hero of the story. He thinks it's all about him, which is very important, playing it out anyway, the way we're meant to see it. And they said that they were really careful not to damage him psychologically or emotionally, and he didn't hear any of the swearing or see any of the really scary stuffs. For scenes where Amelia abuses her son, the actress performed her lines to a stand-in, but they also used, I thought this was really cute, child-appropriate phrases when threatening the kid in the movie so they could get these reactions. So they would say things like, I'm going to throw your Lego into the river. So that's when the kid's starting screaming and all that kind of stuff. I just thought that was so funny. So when just think about that when you watch it again, if you do rewatch, that he's just reacting to all of these things. So to get that performance out of him, which is part of the whole directing, they have to play it a completely different way and get him to amp it up. And I think that that's really clever when you think of it from his perspective. Or if you watch it back from that perspective of being told, you are the hero of this story and you've got to protect your mom. Of course he's going to play it like that. Like it makes so much sense. I think it was really clever.
Yeah. Well, and the whole thing too, like you can see it from both characters' perspectives. Like obviously like the mom is going through something and she hasn't processed the grief, but then you think about the kid too. He's he never knew his dad and he's just being raised with this mom who around his birthday time probably gets a little more sad, gets a little more irritable a little bit because she hasn't gone through this thing. Like I love one of my favorite moments in the movie is when her like coworker comes over and he lets her have it like in front of the coworker, like she doesn't let me have a dad and she doesn't let me. I'm like tell her, like
yeah, exactly. And also the whole thing that goes on with is it his cousin, the girl who shares the same birthday party?
Yeah, I think
that whole thing is wild because of course you would never have a joint birthday party. I know this is a whole gendered thing, but a joint birthday party for this little boy and this little girl at the same time. Yeah. That little girl was a freaking terror as well. You don't have a dad.
I know. She's being okay. A bitch.
I take that personally. And yeah, I just think it's a lot. And I don't know, to share birthday parties it's when you don't even have the same friend circle, doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, I think she's just trying to tie it in together. And yeah, I don't know. He's a very sweet kid. And it shows at the very end when he's able to do that magic trick and there's a freaking pigeon.
I know.
It shows that like if you know, well, it's a very blatant way, but shows that like, you know, if you nurture, there are magic things can happen, guys. You know, like it's I think it's quite a sweet movie. Yes, I don't know if I put this in here. Maybe I didn't. But the ending of the film, did I not put this in here? The ending of the film, did I put it anywhere? Was meant to be different. Well, they American executives wanted to put some money into the film, but only if they changed it and killed off the Babadook at the end. That's what I read. And so Jennifer Kent said no. And the film is kind of lower budget. I watched it not too long ago back at the cinema. I saw like a re-screening thing of it, and I'm like, well, it didn't hold up as well on the big screen, I would have to say. But because it's a very strange, like graded film as well. But I think that she turned that down because that's the whole point of the film, is to live with the grief. And I'd like to know if anyone else knows any. I think there are a couple of films about like feeding your own monster. Your Monster is a good one. Feeding your own monster and learning to deal with it. And I like that metaphor a lot more than just killing off the bad guy. Everyone wants the kid to be dead. Everyone wants Babadook to be dead. Why can't we all just live together, guys, and accept our differences?
Oh, that's crazy, because if they were to do that, that completely changes the meaning of the movie and really isn't conducive to like what it is like to have a mental illness. You know what I mean? It's not something you destroy and then it's gone forever. Like it's a constant daily, weekly, monthly thing.
It's acceptance. It's acceptance.
So it completely changed the meaning of the movie and would make it worse, in my opinion. If
100%.
Yeah, but that would just be contrived.
And that's a lot of people talk about grief is just learning to live around it and not God, heavy stuff, guys. It's a really good movie. It has so many layers in it.
It is.
And I really enjoyed like learning all these different parts. But do you want to get to the actual fun stuff?
Oh yeah. Okay. So as we know, the Babadook is a gay icon. So this happened kind of slowly and then all at once. So it started with like memes. People were just memeing on. I actually do have. Hold on, I came prepared.
You have it, yes.
So people were like, this is just like an example. People were like memeing on the internet that the Babadook is like a gay man just like trying to like live his life in the Australian suburbs. So like around the internet, like there are threads like this where people are just like, they're doing a bit.
The murder house one, you'll realize Babadook was just a depression, right?
I know. And then everybody's just going along with the bit and like, and he was gay. Like, like I just love the people trying to be like, it's just a movie. And then they're like, a movie about a gay man who just wants to live his life in a small Australian suburb. The B and LGBT. I love for that. Babadook. Everyone knows this. Like everyone just like people were just like doing a bit, but it's like you know it's just they were doing a bit. It was funny. The meme stuff, people started memeing it on the internet first, from what I understand. Like that sort of happened, and then this
Caleb,
image.
Caleb, this will answer your question.
This image came up on the internet. Somebody shared that the Babadook was, accidentally put in the LGBT section on Netflix. For everything I could find, like, because many places did like an article on this, like how did the Babadook become a gay icon? At the time everyone was writing these articles, Netflix never said anything like if this was confirmed or not. I did see
they're not gonna accept it in the States
exactly. I did see some like old tweets where they kind of just like went along with the gag, which is like what you should do at that point. Like you just go with the joke. So it's not confirmed whether this is a real. clearly from all you guys doing accidentally with quotations. I was curious, like, did you guys like, are you guys like, yeah, that actually happened?
I really thought it did. I thought so. The image that you're showing,
confirmed.
I thought that I saw a different thing of someone. I'm trying to look for it. A video of someone clicking the drop down thing and then like clicking it. I think I saw it as a video, but either way, like it could be a mistake that they make mistakes all the freaking time.
Sure.
I was watching something on a streaming service the other day, and I was watching an episode of Survivor. Is anyone surprised? And the episode was an hour and 40 minutes, and they had just edited the back half of the episode in there twice. And I was like, man, how is like Paramount doing shit like, you know what I mean? Like things like that make mistakes all the time. But either way, it's a happy mistake. So I don't know how it happened.
But all this stuff is like, based on like, it's all like an algorithm too. So it's very possible like it accidentally ended up in there. Sure. It's also possible that it was photoshopped. Like somebody was going along with the joke, like, aha, look, see, even Netflix knows. Personally, I feel like it was just somebody going along with the joke.
Could be
like they were just continuing the bit. Either way, it was like essentially, I guess, to answer your question, Caleb, it was all just a joke.
Oh, did you see his top hat though? Slay.
And it just like snowballed from there. Like drag queens were dressing up like the Babadook. Like it just became like a whole like fabulous thing. And I've seen some people like try and like I think try in good faith to do like a read of this movie with like queer subtext, and I'm like, talk about a reach. I'm like, sometimes it's just not there. Sometimes it's just a bit, guys. It's just, you don't have to try and justify.
I don't know how you would. We have reached all over the place, but I don't know how to do that when she's literally grieving her husband who's died.
Yeah, that's a reach even I wouldn't do. I'm like, no, it's just funny. And then like the name like kind of lends itself to like, you know, because it's like it rhymes with like Baba Shook or like a look, you know, like a Baba look, like
a look.
So it's just, and then it just we just ran with it, and it became a funny thing. But I just think it's just funny that everyone decided to run with this joke, and it's just silly because the Babadook is like, he just looks terrifying, and like he's just this guy, he's just this dude in a top hat, exactly, just like he do be slaying with that top hat, like
and he can be memeified so easy because there's two versions of him. There's the version we see in the book, which is like the cutie one, and then there's the other one. So I feel like it's very like it's interesting in that there's a lot that can be put into it. So
exactly, super easy to meme. But that's just a fun like little bit of like random things that happen with this movie that doesn't like mean anything towards the movie. It was just a funny thing, which probably got more people to watch the movie.
I think so too.
I saw quite a few articles where like people were like sharing the meme and they hadn't even like seen the movie like when they started seeing it. So it's like, I think that's kind of a funny way to
and it makes them more of like an icon as well. Drag queens dressing up like as the Babadook.
I can't think of a better like stamp of approval of like a horror character than if a drag queen does a look based on it. Like
100%. I agree.
I think you win at that point. But I'm curious, I guess, like from everybody's reaction, like I don't know. I want to know if like anybody actually saw it
on the Netflix?
like on Netflix.
I didn't look at it that way, but
like if anyone actually saw it in there.
Don't let
love that.
New fave.
Just a funny little thing. Not really offensive, but fun.
No, definitely fun. I realized I had some of the quotes down for some of the things she says to him, but it's kind of like a downer after that. Because I put just listed some does this offend you moments. There is an unfortunate sorry guys, there is an unfortunate dog scene, which was pretty fucked up. Then and we talked about Amelia strangling her son, and then I do have some quotes of the things she said. I know I kept saying like go eat shit, but these ones are way worse. She said, "You little pig, 6 years old and you're still wetting yourself. You don't know how many times I wished it was you, not him, that died." And she also said, "Sometimes I want to smash your head against a brick wall until your fucking brains pop out." So I don't know, maybe don't say that to your children. So yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, it is really intense. Like the scary scenes are. Yeah, and like that dog scene's like one of the worst ones like I've seen in a movie. Like it's rough.
Very intense. It just shows that when I was saying before about how people had strong reactions to her as a mother, and them trying to be really raw and vulnerable with someone actually snapping in those moments. So. Yes. Yeah. Matt. Matt. Oh my god, it's just my poor cat.
Shit.
Rude.
Yo.
As a redheaded child, I say. Oh Lord. Have mercy.
Heat. Okay.
Oh yeah, we're finding that offensive.
Yeah.
No, I love this film. It's so good.
Yeah.
Every time I watch it, I think about like a different aspect of it. So it was a fun rewatch again.
Yeah, it was a joy to rewatch this one. Honestly, I hadn't rewatched it in a bit, and it was just so good.
It's a very good one.
Yeah, not offended. I guess I really should be prepared to do like a poll. Hang on. We could just do one at the end, whichever one's more offensive.
No,
it's already too late.
It works.
All right.
Right.
All right. The Woman in the Yard.
Wow.
The Woman in the Yard.
Oh, you did a review for this one. I didn't get to see it because it wasn't out when it didn't come out in Australia. And now I know why, kind of, because I think it did. Yeah. I mean, they could have predicted that, but yeah.
Sure.
I don't know if you gave it a favorable review, so I'm quite interested in this.
Yeah. I think my rating remains like middle. Like I was just middle of the road. I was just kind of like, okay. Like
no, I feel quite similar in a weird way.
Okay, so once again, because this one's newer, came out this year, massive spoilers. All right.
Thank you, Des. Everyone's so funny in the comments.
Yeah, you guys are really awesome. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed the movie, but I wasn't offended.
That's something. No, I did hate it. Sorry.
Matt.
I think you're meant to be annoyed by him a little bit. It's fine. Oh, geez. Okay. All right. Real quick summary. Okay. So the movie follows Ramona, who is a widowed mother of 2 children, Taylor and Annie. So one day the family wakes up, power's out, and a mysterious woman draped in black is sitting in the front yard. After a disturbing conversation with her, Ramona insists the children stay inside. Taylor becomes restless and wants to confront the woman, who seems to know the truth about his father's death. Ramona finds out the woman appeared because she prayed for her to come and to help her take her own life. This is going to be a real downer bit, guys. The film ends with Ramona. I'm going to explain it as one interpretation. We'll get into it. The film ends with Ramona. Attempting to do this, but she stops when her children come for her and the trio go back into the house, the woman seemingly defeated.
That is I think it's really funny because so many people keep saying like nothing happens in this film, and the way you've summed it up, it seems like nothing happens, but a lot does happen.
It gets like it's hard to describe, like when she goes after the woman, she kind of goes into this like kind of trippy, like, you know,
like a reverse, the
like a mirror world, almost. And she's being shown, you know, it's a little like it's like not quite like linear. It's harder to describe, but
Yeah. Where do you want to start? I mean, I can just get straight. We can just get straight into it with the ambiguity, because I think it's really important with this film. So a lot of people went into this movie. I saw a lot of people posting about how intense the ending was and how mad people were at this movie. It hadn't come out here, like I said, so I kind of tried to stay away from spoilers as much as possible. But I saw a lot of people being really pissed off, and like also a lot of people posting videos with, you know, the rage bait kind of titles, like "this movie was the worst movie I've ever seen," and, you know, like the screaming and the mad face, which, you know, I'll do this one, but not maybe that one. So I'll call myself out for that. But yeah, people were really, really, really mad. But, well, kind of forced mad, I think, about that and the themes. I think there was two things that people were mad about. People were mad about the themes, the heavy topic, and not having a trigger warning or, you know, a content warning, because it does get so dark. It's kind of hard because, in a way, depending on how you interpret the film, and we will get to it, it might be the twist that she does that to herself. It might not be. So it's kind of hard to do a content warning for that when it's part of the twist, which is a whole different subject. We've gone through this with films like Blink Twice, where should people know that? Should people not know that? Should they put content warnings? We're seeing more and more content warnings. So people were mad about that. But then also people were mad because they felt cheated by this film, because they sat through it, and it does mislead you purposefully as well. It's them secluded in the house the whole time. If this woman in the yard, I think no matter how you read it, is, you know, like, you know, a manifestation. If she's there and the kids are able to come have conversations with her, and the mum is, and now it's very misleading to who she actually is. And I think a lot of the time people were sitting there waiting to see what the mystery was and what the reveal was going to be, and they felt really cheapened by the ambiguity of the ending. But it's purposeful, which is why it's so crazy. I do think I don't know if it's clearer, but I think my interpretation of it is better after seeing the film for the second time, because you can read it a completely different way when you know the ending. So the writer, Sam, I don't know how to say it, Sevenyak, for the film, he said, I mean, I
was trying to find it, but I was like,
I highlighted it if you want to see. He said via Filmmaker magazine that my original drafts, I'll admit, are not as ambiguous, and they are very clear about overcoming depression and your mental health struggles. In this version, gives people either frustration or joy. So it was all intended. I don't know joy, but it was all intended. And I have my opinion on what happened. Not that that's correct or anything. So this is the writer saying that, you know, saying that it may not, even their interpretation is not correct of the own thing that they wrote, which is, you know. But when I see the finished product, I find hope. I see someone overcoming their depression, because that's what happened to me. And I was dealing with suicidal depression, and I got a hold of it and made the first draft of the script. So they're talking about turning art, you know, turning pain into art, which Ramona does with painting. So that's where that is meant to be. That's why she's got like the whole, that aspect is put into the film. But Sam went on to say that the director of the film wanted that uncomfortable ambiguity to be present in the ending. And it's been really interesting to see two people in the same exact screening sitting right next to each other can come away with their own interpretation. And that is important for the story. And he said, to the director's credit, he gave enough breadcrumbs on every side breadcrumbs to every side people wanted to feel. At one point, I did try to encourage the director to make it a little bit less ambiguous, but he was like, no, I think we want to make our audience feel frustrated. I think we want to make our audience frustrated. We want to make our audience argue. Audiences think that they want answers, but they don't. They want more questions. So I think that they really succeeded in that, if that was the objective. And I don't think much people are talking about the fact that it's actually meant to be ambiguous and you're meant to read it however you want. Personally, I read it that the first time I think I saw it completely different, to be honest. But the second time I read it that she's kind of like in a loop, a time loop, like limbo.
Okay.
Because the end of the film is the start of the film. So when she's watching the video of her husband, she watches a video of her husband, reminiscing about, good times or, a beautiful memory that she had with him. And then at the end of the film, she goes back into the house after, the moment where she takes a weapon and tries to, take herself out. Yeah. She goes back into the house and the house is completely different and it's all done up, like, which is an aspect they talk about throughout the film of like wanting to do up their house. Yeah. And it kind of goes into the start. And then throughout the film, there are things that aren't quite right. And when she first sees the woman in the yard, it's straight after she has a flashback of the accident that took her husband. Mm-hmm. So that she sees the lights and then she appears. So I feel like it is these moments of what actually happened to her husband and what she's gone through, like seeping into her subconscious in this kind of limbo of what she's done. And she has to keep coming to terms with it. And by the end of the film, she doesn't quite come to terms with what she's done. So she has to repeat it over. That's how I see it. And I also see that she took her kids out as well, because there are points where she's like holding her kids and she's got blood on her hands, but there's points where she looks into a mirror and she's holding her kid like dead body, but then she's not actually doing that when she's out of, not the reflection isn't showing that. So people see, there's all different ways people see it, but she there's another dog scene in this one. The chickens are all dead. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because they're also isolated, so you don't get any outside interference. Yeah. And there was also another thing that I thought that it adds an extra element. I haven't really spoken about this to anyone, so it'd be very interesting to see what you guys thought. I thought maybe her depression was this thing before any of this happened. So before the accident. So because that's the first time she actually sees the woman is in the car wreck. She looks in the back mirror and the woman's there running on the road. So did she cause the accident because she was because you see before with her husband that she had a disagreement with him. So did she cause it and then go home and then like kill her kids and kill herself?
Interesting. Yeah. I like the time. No, definitely did not. Like, I love the time loop idea, which makes sense with the ending because it replays kind of like the beginning of
and everything's in reverse, like the R's in reverse and stuff.
Yeah, like that makes a lot of sense. And definitely she was dealing with stuff beforehand, like because the conversation with her husband is like that's all before any of this, and she was then they're having a discussion about how she's unhappy. And so she was unhappy in the city, so they moved, and then she's unhappy there. Like, so clearly I wonder this is something,
if it was like all coming to that. But it's hard because obviously when she wakes, then she's got the crutches and she's like going through the house and stuff. Yeah. But what I think is really interesting, she says to her kid when he says, "Why don't you call the like electric? I think their electricity's off or something like that, or something's out.
The power's out." Yeah,
and she goes, "I can't call them." And it's a weird thing where it can be read, again, they say that they've left enough breadcrumbs for it to be read anyway. But for me, it said, like, we can't contact the outside world. Like, it's just us here.
Well, yeah, that's how And then if you want to interpret it, that's true, though, because if you want to interpret it like it's really happening, like when as soon as she wakes up, her phone goes dead because she has been... It's like they're making clear she's been replaying that video on her phone, or that's how they're setting it up for you to think. So her phone goes dead, and then her son's phone is broken, so they can't contact anybody. So it's like it truly is like you could work it for your interpretation, like it's just ambiguous enough to
and it could be done anyway. That's the thing. Like, did she? I think a lot of people have an issue with the ending because they're like, it's a very intense, I would say, graphic scene. Someone I was talking about this in my Discord and someone was like, I didn't find it graphic because obviously it doesn't happen, but for me it is like very intense seeing someone do that with that kind of weapon and like set it up. It's like I think it's a very intense scene, and I think it's a scene that a lot of people had problems with. I also had in my notes that it was absolutely wild that there was like accessible firearms in that house, because at one point the kid like grabs like a rifle or whatever, and I'm like, fuck, there's all these kids, like how do they have all of these guns just like around in the house and not locked up anywhere? Like, is absolutely wild to me. I know, but that is wild. I grew up with firearms in my house, like where I lived. But
it is locked away,
obviously
though.
It's different, but it's all like, well, the kid gets it. Who's
Well,
how old is he?
Well, that's true. I know, but I'm saying like what I'm saying is the dad obviously didn't hide the key very well because he goes to open it and then he has to like the key is like taped to a drawer or something and
if the kid can walk outside with that's so wild. I know that is what it is, but it's just very alarming to me.
This is America.
Yeah, it is very alarming. I'm like, it's just kids in the house that which already the mum isn't able to do anything because she's on crutches the whole time, and that's the only thing that I feel like also like misleads you in a way because you're like, well, this has to be based in realism because it happened right after the accident, so she's obviously gone to some kind of hospital. So like, how does that fit in the timeline? But or the loop, you know, like it's very odd. But yeah, the whole thing is just, I don't know, it's just so ambiguous, I guess. That's the point, though.
Yeah. And I think it's more like, I don't know if people are necessarily mad at like every single ambiguous ending or something like that, but maybe just because it does involve suicide or an attempted suicide, that it makes it a little bit more, I think it makes it a little more sensitive. And I fully agree with you, like her, like that scene, like setting it up with that particular firearm, it like does feel more intense because it's like super intentional at that point because it's very difficult to do that with a shotgun. It's like super, it's, you know what I mean? So I definitely agree. But I mean, we have talked about like horror movies before that have similar, I guess, similar interpretations. So I guess it depends on how you want to interpret this movie. If you do interpret it that she was successful and her kids are now saved and they go on to live happy lives like how the woman shows her or something. If you decide to interpret it that way, it could, like we've talked about movies like Lights Out, where it has a similar message kind of at the end, or with the mom doing that and then the entity goes away at that point. I feel like it calls into question though, like what, not just like the horror genre, but I guess because the horror genre, I guess, tackles these subjects a little bit more often. Like, I guess, like what responsibility they have in portraying this. Because both arguments make sense, but I feel like it would be really hard to have a conversation about like, well, what about the cases of people that, maybe have these ideations and they are successful, because, not everybody, not all of them are failures. So it's like, how do you have those conversations without presenting that as an option? It's so I don't know that it's like, I think some people that I saw that were angry at the endings, and reviewers and articles say that it like the only thing I have a problem with is they like use words like it's encouraging, or it like obviously it can be it's a triggering to see. Like you said, you can't really say that though without giving away what happens at the end. But I feel like it's not like, I didn't get the feeling at all that it was like irresponsibly done, that like, yeah, we're gonna show this and we're doing this to show that if you do this thing, it makes everybody's lives around you better. I think they were just portraying like, somebody who is going through depression or grief might have those ideations, and that's the mindset that you could be in. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily like encouraging it.
I think that also like the responsibility of like the unreliable narrator, because that's the whole thing is with this, because they literally say that they make it open for any interpretation.
Yeah,
including joy. They literally said,
well, like joy if you choose to go the route of like she doesn't do it, and and she,
but then is it what like she's fixed? Like we're gonna work. So I think it does the complete opposite to the Babadook, where the Babadook really goes hard on these different situations, but then shows the ending of like, you know, you can live with it and you don't have to push it down, but you can like learn from it and accept it. And yeah, there's no, I guess the Lights Out also has like this big kind of epic blow up, where this one is such a solo experience with Ramona that it feels isolated. And yeah, I think that, yeah, it's just really it's really interesting, these things. And I also, you know what, this is kind of a hot take, and I don't know how I was going to say this, but I do find it quite interesting, the people who complain about these kinds of things in films, but then also have a problem with other people saying other things are triggering, because I see a lot of that. A lot of people are okay to talk about other subjects such as like assault in those kinds of films, and then they think that, oh, you know, whatever, it is just like part of like the horror genre, but then they have a problem if it becomes something that they deal with or struggle with. And I've seen that. I feel like I see that topic I guess not really addressed, but I see a lot of people complaining about that, and then they're okay to watch something completely different, which is totally fine, but it obviously has to give you some kind of clue into empathy that other people might feel that about other certain subjects as well, which is why I'm like, well, it's a horror movie. I like going into blind to films, but I know that if I did have certain sensitivities, and, you know, I've definitely gone through sensitivities where you have to look into films sometimes beforehand to know if there is any content that you shouldn't be watching. And does that lie on the audience, or does it lie on the filmmakers? And I don't think that there is a right answer to this, by the way. I don't think, because it is a hard subject. But if you are dealing with anything like that, it would be great for them to have a warning. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But also, you've got to look up content warnings. That's why they exist. Even just a simple scroll on IMDb will tell you. That
is true. I think it becomes such like a hot topic because the horror genre has like, I mean, it has a rocky history with portraying mental illness like across the board. I think just because of the nature of the genre. So it's like, it's a very I think at this point kind of like low hanging fruit that like the monster or the evil entity is oftentimes a stand-in for mental illness, and that creates a certain kind of attitude around mental illness. Sometimes maybe the opposite effect as to maybe why you want to tell this story in this way. But when you're always seeing it as this like monstrous thing, it starts to take on a
I just realized, I was like, wait, that's one of my notes as well. But basically, mental illness as an entity. I like, that's the whole point of horror, though, is like these metaphors that we have.
For sure. That I'm just saying, like,
no, I feel the same way. Like, I'm not against that at all, but I understand the point, because a lot of people have said that you know, at what point is turning mental illness into a monster too much? And the son actively in this film talks about that his mom needs to take her crazy person pills. And I think that stuff makes sense, because that is how people actually talk, and they're making a point of it. But if there's no resolution, or like, you know, clear, you know, I don't know, writing that or addressing it, like, then it's just existing in media without any, you know, not the wrong person, but someone can interpret it completely different. It's interesting, because having that language, or how we see mental illness as a monster, it makes sense. Like, that is half of the horror movie.
It's the nature of the genre to do that.
Really, all different things, you know, that's religious horror. There's so many different things, and that's the whole point, is to pull out real life experiences and make them into these like horrific metaphors. But I guess what responsibility is that of the writer to make sure that that's corrected and has like a message and a meaning to the end? I don't know. It's hard.
It is hard. Well, it's hard because there's no, like you said, there's no right answer.
Maybe don't do it about a movie about this. If you're gonna like want to make a movie that has breadcrumbs that leads you wherever, I feel like at what point is that rage bait? Do you know what I mean?
Like,
so I guess they got what they wanted. They got a lot of people talking, so.
That's true. Like, and if that's which I mean, and we can read anything into like the quote that you said too, like when the director was like, we want to make our audience argue. You could see that as like, we want people to talk about the movie, and this is what would get, you know, kind of like a all press is good press sort of thing. Like, even if they're angry at it, they're still talking about it. It's hard because when you know, there's certain topics specifically that can be a little bit more sensitive, obviously, when it comes to somebody like taking their own life. That's pretty sensitive. And it's a really nuanced conversation. That's really the answer, is that it's just a really nuanced conversation.
Yeah. Not only is it the themes that are very intense in this movie as well, it's the tone. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like when we talk about like literally again, your monster, like metaphors in films about like different things and them taking over. I don't know. Horror can do that with pure scares, or it can do it in like a fun, quirky way that's really dark and disturbing. I don't know. There's just so much to think about, and I don't know. It's kind of good to have films like this that make us think about that in a different light. I don't know. I like this film. I didn't hate it at all. I keep giving it like a 6 out of 10. I can definitely see all the issues people have with it, but the more like the second time watching it, I definitely got a lot more out of it.
For sure.
And I do think the performances are really good as well.
Yeah.
Like Ramona is amazing. Who plays Ramona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. Did you have I have something that goes with into both, but did you have
No, I think that was all my stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I think so.
Okay. Let's see before I
scroll through.
You had a lot. You had a lot on this movie.
Yeah, I think I got it.
Okay.
You go for it.
Okay, cool. Well, obviously both movies deal with mental illness, like depression kind of specifically, and grief specifically, and motherhood. I know you mentioned like in your notes, like you just listed the similarities like super quick, like they both like feature a car accident killing the father, which is like kind of really specific. When I saw that in your notes, I was like, oh shit, they do.
Yeah, well, you know, I watched. It's so funny because when I watched this film, I had only seen your thumbnail for your video, and it said like, "Are they too similar?" And you like something about Babadook. You wrote something, and then I watched this, and I was like, "This won't be like," because I don't know if I just watched Babadook recently, and then I watched Woman in the Yard, and I was thinking about it the whole time. And so when these things came up, I was like, "Shit, it's exactly the same." Yeah. When the car accident came up, I was like, "What?" Yeah. So I was thinking about that when I watched it.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a crazy like specific thing to have in common.
Yeah, it really is.
Which is kind of funny. But I was thinking about like other horror movies that are like this, that feature like a single mom, or like something scary is happening to them. I feel like there's a longer list of horror movies about being a single mother. Like I know you kind of talked about the pregnancy thing, which is super prevalent also. But I mean, like in my notes, like as I was writing it, I just like listed ones that came to my head without even Googling it, you know, like stuff like Goodnight Mommy, Dark Water, The Exorcist, Child's Play, that all feature, you know, like a single mother specifically like going through something scary with their child, involving their child. But there's even more if we add it to the list of ones like, you know, the old trope where it's like the mother or the girlfriend or whoever is experiencing the scary thing, and then their husband, boyfriend, whoever, partner is like, you're just stressed, nothing's happening, you know what I mean, where it's like they might as well where they might as well just be alone, or they might as well just be like a single mother in this instance because of the way their partners. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like it's way more common in case like than cases where like there's a single father. Like I had to Google to think of any like truly like horror movies that are very similar to these, that it's a man like dealing with it versus a woman.
I'm trying to think of one.
Yeah, I had to Google.
Hide and Seek? Is he a dad? I don't know.
Which one?
Hide and Seek? Is he a dad?
Hide and Seek.
Is it Robert De Niro?
I remember.
I could be wrong.
Maybe. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've seen that one. Or it's like ones I was kind of, you know, ones that are kind of a stretch. I was like, well, The Mist.
The Stepfather.
The Stepfather.
That doesn't really count.
I was like The Mist, but it's like he's not really a single dad. It's just the mom is just at home, like, you know, she gets left at home in the story. But I just thought it was interesting. Obviously there's like societal pressures about motherhood and, you know, how women are expected to be everything and simultaneously being judged for everything or every decision that they make, whether they choose to go back to work or they choose to be a stay-at-home mom or whatever they do. I feel like it also maybe could come from the idea, and there's no there's no tangible statistics for this, but that mothers win custody over their children more frequently than fathers. Again, that's not a hard statistic. That's just things people throw out there. So I feel like the idea that maybe this isn't the best practice maybe is something the horror genre explores, where it's like, what if that's not the best idea to always leave the care of the children to the mother or something? And then, as you said, I feel like it just boils down to like hysteria, which is, you know, like this misogynistic view that women are more emotional and like emotionally volatile than men, which is also untrue.
But isn't that interesting as well, what we were saying about the Babadook, because we still can't find a real example of the mother, you know, losing it on her kids without there being an external factor or like another layer to it. Because you know, it's not like The Shining, where, you know, he's just. Well, I mean, I guess is that an external? That's like a whole different read of like what happened at the hotel. But like, there's, it's like that. It doesn't. They need to have something to make them the woman crack. Instead of just all of the pressures of everything she's already going through, which is what we see in pregnancy horror, but we don't really see that with the children. And that's interesting in both films. It takes the father dying to make the woman really crack, and that's when she's unable to like go on living normally, or, you know. Although I guess in the Babadook, like that is several years later, and that is the grief piling up, but that is her like pushing it down, which I think is super realistic, because a lot of people, you know, no matter the situation, persevere, and things do bottle up and, you know, get worse. But I think it's a really good I would love to see some stats on what horror movies, the tropes with how many times they have a single parent, what, you know, what like a man or a woman, and then I don't know, like there's so many different ways you could break it down if you had all the stats for like last 30 years in horror movies. I think that would be so interesting to take all of them and to figure that out. I wonder, you could probably do that pretty easily if you took like the top 100, like most popular of the last.
That's true.
That would so interesting. I don't know. We have to wait to see the facts and figures to see if it's actually interesting.
I just based it off of like what I could think of off the top of my head, and then I did like a Google of each. But I was like, I could come up with way more. And the ones that, like, you guys are mentioning once in the comments too, that I was like, yep. I was like, Evil Dead Rise, the others, Carrie.
You said Evil Dead Rise, The Ring, Goodnight Mom. Goodnight Mummy's an interesting one probably to go back and think about as well. Did we ever compare both the Goodnight Mummies?
I don't think we've ever done Goodnight Mommy, like,
we
at
should
all.
Do one of them, because
I
really need to go back and watch it, because it feels like a film I would like, and it was like one of my first rants. I know, I never watched the remake either.
Signs. I had to think real hard and I couldn't come up with any, but Signs, you're correct. Yeah. That's a good one. That's just
it's also like a village. Do you know what I mean? Like, it takes a village to raise a child, and Signs, they're not alone.
Sure.
Like, they have other people.
That is true. Yeah, he does have help.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Is Amityville horror about fatherhood? I mean, I guess, but he's not a single dad.
Yeah, he's not single.
Yeah. Not single.
Not single.
Yeah, everyone I could think of that was about a dad. So I'm like, well, there's a wife there. There's a
and it makes sense though, because it's almost like the phone situation in horror movies. They got to get rid of the phone so they don't have access to get help. So they get rid of the father so they don't have the big father to protect the children and then protect the wife. So it's kind of like, you know,
true, where it's like maybe it feels more vulnerable because
I think so.
To be like physically weaker and
so you need to use your brains to like find out what the entity is and figure it out, because you can't get out of the house otherwise. Women can't drive. They can't get away from their problems. But if the man was there, he would hit the ghost with a crowbar and you're fine. It doesn't make any sense. I love it.
Which is interesting in this movie, because like her older child, her son, the first thing, the thing that he's like, no, let me go get the gun and go out there. And
yeah, exactly.
That's so interesting.
It is. Yeah, there's a lot going on in that movie.
Yeah,
but it was a fun one to rediscover, to go back then, because when I watched it the first time, I just read it one way and I was like, oh, I guess this is like so ambiguous, though you could see it so many different ways. But when going back and finding the quotes and being like, oh, they purposefully did this and no one's talking about how this was actually like it's so funny to me. The boogeyman.
I don't really remember the boogeyman.
I know.
I believe you.
It's one of those 2000s, like.
Yeah. I believe you. I just don't remember it.
Yeah, me either.
And War of the World is correct, but that's like what we got, like 3.
Yeah.
Compared to, I mean, I rattled off like 10 of them.
Yeah. Oh shit, that one has Sophie Thatcher in it. That was only 2 years ago. I thought it was like a 2000s one. Yeah. Shit. I remember it now.
Oh, then I definitely don't know what movie this is.
I was thinking of like a Darkness Falls-esque thing, but no, this is definitely this is Rob Savage. Yeah. 2 years. Yeah. I remember this film. I think I did a review of it, but I can't remember it, which is crazy.
That's anyway. We talked about so many movies. Okay.
Yeah, it happens.
While I make a poll, are you offended by this movie?
Personally, no. But I can totally understand why people needed a heads up for that last scene. I wonder how I would have felt watching this in the cinema as well, without any, like, going in blind like I usually do and not knowing how people reacted to it. That would have been really interesting, because I felt like I kind of had a heads up, and I thought that the last scene was going to be really bloody and really intense, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
Although when I saw it, watching at home, I was like, oh, that's in. I was like, oh my god, it's happening, and then it didn't happen, and I was like, oh, maybe this is why people are pissed off, because it like didn't have like, and they just had to sit through that really intense scene, and then they were like, oh, never mind, like that's a lot to leave people on like. So I'm not offended by it. I wouldn't say like it. Yeah, there's no way I would say in a sentence that Woman in the Yard was so offensive, but I can understand. I can definitely understand.
Oh, for sure. For like anytime I go into a horror movie, I'm like, if somebody found this, like found that difficult to watch because of the topic or something, I'd be like, yeah, for sure. Like,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. I can't say that I personally found it offensive.
No.
I guess maybe I could understand being a little bit annoyed if we kind of confirmed that, like, they made it ambiguous as like rage bait. Sure.
Yeah. I felt like all of the trailers and stuff, it made it seem like it was more of a mystery. Like, what is this woman doing in the yard?
Yeah.
So the whole film, you're trying to figure it out. I watched it again with Civic in the chat. Like, I think it was his first time watching it. And he was like, oh, sorry, Civic, to call you out, but it was pretty funny. It's like, oh, it's the woman from the other car. Like, he thought it was which is a good read. Like, I was like, oh, I can see where you see that, because he was trying to figure it out the whole time. And I was like, I went through that too. And I actually thought when it kind of shows the loop of her going into the perspective of the woman in the like she goes into her head and she has the veil on, I thought that it was like, oh, is it meant to be like grief coming up in different circumstances, and it's like the loop, like you become like almost the reaper, if you know what I mean, like you die, and then because you did that way, you become the reaper to someone else and pass on the grief to someone else. And I thought, for a second, I'm like, is this meant to be like a kind of like Smile, where it's like this infectious thing, you become it, you become the entity? Like, I was trying to read everything into it, but it was like, I was like, that's the only read it's not meant to be. Yeah.
No, but I can see how you would think that, though. Yeah, that's a very distinct moment where she,
because it's not like it was herself. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an actual different actress playing it. So
yeah, that's also true. Yeah. That's good though. I'm just gonna start sitting in people's yards.
Maybe don't. With a trigger warning first. Okay.
Bree, you live in the United States. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, isn't that like number one on your?
we have guns. Remember?
Maybe just a little bit off the property is. If you're gonna do that, do it on
just sit on
the other side of the road.
on the sidewalk. That's public property.
That's so smart. Do not do that.
Just sit on the sidewalk. You're fine. They don't own the sidewalk. Okay, so it looks like
safer on government grounds.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Those are your only two options, Emma. I don't know what to tell you.
Sit in your house. Okay.
Okay, so it looks like the woman in the yard is winning by 67%. But sure, I could see. I mean, as for a poll that's just ha hee hee, it's not serious. Sure.
As ha hee hee as this episode has been.
Hey, we tried very hard to make it.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, that we're doing this for entertainment for us and you guys. So
yeah. Okay. Well, y'all have spoken. we should have stats on that. We've done too many episodes for me to like go back and
how much people have been offended. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, or like which ones were the most offensive per episode. But we're in too deep now. I'm not gonna go back.
We're definitely in too deep.
Can't go back and do that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Civic.
Thank you so much, Civic.
Thank you very much. Great. Oh yeah.
Thanks, Des.
From the first time watcher. Thank you, Des.
Yay. I hope you return, Des. Welcome to the community.
I mean, Des, if you're new here, you should subscribe to both of our channels. And those links are in the description.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe, Des. What? No, I said it leave the house at all weekend. Yes. That's what the doctor ordered. It's what the doctor ordered. Yeah, sit on a chair in your... I don't know if you live alone or if you live with people, but that would be quite funny if you sat there in silence with a veil over your head in your house. So,
maybe if you have roommates, maybe don't do that.
No, do it. Do it. I want to see it. That's funny.
That's so scary. Imagine if your roommate just started doing that. You come out, they're just sat in the living room.
Give me ideas for Texas, Vicky.
No. Oh God, I'm locking my door. She can't be trusted.
I can't. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I can't.
All right. Well,
on that note,
guys.
Thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for dropping by.
Thanks for hanging out. Episode 77 in the books. We're closing in on 100. That's pretty crazy. Like
wild stuff.
I don't know what happens at episode 100, but
we start again. The whole list starts from the start. No, because I think Cannibal Holocaust is pretty close to the front, so let's not do that.
No, that was our first one.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's crazy. So let us know if you guys ever have you guys come across any films or any topics that you'd like to see us cover. Let us know. We'll try and add it to our list and get to it. But we're always open to ideas. Thank you guys so much for watching. Des, thank you again for watching for the first time. Really appreciate you specifically.
If you have any issues, let us know if you need to figure out how YouTube works or
we're experts in that arena. We're
obviously
really good at knowing the ins and outs of that.
Yeah, that's a good call out. It backfired on me fast.
All right. Well, have a good night, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye. That comes the best part. Des, this is the best part.